Hey there, MiniWarGamers. Owen here from MiniWarGaming, bringing you another update slash vlog as I continue to work through my giant Menoth army. Now, I have not worked on this as much as I would have liked, but they are coming along slowly but surely. I've got all my bastions painted at least, and they've got at least partial or most of their basing on them. The Knight Exemplars, I finally got the other Knight's arms, so I'm going to paint those up right now. And yeah, I started airbrushing my jacks, getting them ready for what I'm going to be, because I want to paint them similar to the Judicator, with that burnt kind of look on all of their shoulder pads, but I'm having a bit of an issue with the airbrush right now, so I won't be doing it right now. But other than that, I am going to be painting the Knight Exemplars, so let me get my paints all ready here. And my painter is all gone. It's over there. So unfortunately my Scarlet seems to have wandered off, which usually means it wandered off to Chris. So I won't be fully painting these knights, but at least I can get them started. And I do also want to get my choir built and ready to go. Speaking of choir, I was cruising around the Privateer Press forums, which is kind of what I do. One of the things anyway, because I do actually like this game, and I play it in tournaments quite often. But I saw a forum where it's actually, they've set up a forum there where they're specifically saying to avoid my Batreps if you want to learn how to play this game, slash if you want to see competitive games. And I do apologize, but I agree. If you're looking for competitive, really high-end, these are like ultra serious, we have to win, we have to bring the best casters, best list, best tier, high points, everything like that. Unfortunately, my games usually aren't that. They are not that. Often I'm playing against people who are not very competitive or are not that interested in playing a competitive game. So we're not going to be very conservative about every movement, every action, as well as you're not going to see the best lists. So I do apologize about that, but it is something that's out of my control. I mean, I myself am not a very competitive guy. Like, even when I go to the tournaments and that, I have no problem with a person like, oh, I forgot to allocate focus. Don't worry about it, man. Go ahead. It's no big deal. That's the kind of person I am. It's not a big deal to me whether I win or lose at a game. So if somebody makes a mistake, I'm totally willing for them to go back on it, or if we recognize a mistake or something like that. But yeah, if you're really looking for tactics and like how to play the very best casters and what the very best lists are in Menoth, unfortunately, me and my opponents were not the best to see that. If you're just looking to see a game in action, then we can definitely help you out there. But like I said, I don't really have any very competitive opponents to play. The closest there was when Dan was still here. He was very good at this game, very competitive as well. And so when he and I played against each other, they were more serious. But at the same time, when I started playing him, he was the one who taught me how to play this game. And so our games usually were, he would bring Epic Fiora, or sorry, Epic Haley, and I would bring P. Lilith, and I would get smashed time and again because I didn't know how to play the game. But that's how Dan taught me how to play Warmachine, which is not a bad thing. It's just, that's how I learned. And so I've come to the point now where I'd like to say that when I go to the tournaments I'm pretty good. Now, of course, the camera doesn't really represent it because, as I said, I don't play the very serious lists when I'm just playing as a Batrep, because, as I also said, most of my opponents are not, either they are relatively new or they're not very competitive. Like Dave Potts, for example, and hopefully Dave won't get mad at me for this, but he is a very good player and he knows a lot more about this than I do. But we both are not very, like, we're not very serious about it. We do both still make mistakes. We still are more than willing to let somebody change their mind or something like that, or fix something that they have been doing wrong. And so our games, they tend to be less serious. Like, we'll play and we'll have fun, and that'll be that. What's up, Jay?
Just have a question for you, man, because you know the rules a lot better than I do.
Oh, hear that? Anyway, carry on.
Walkers cannot overrun, can they? They can overrun? Oh, good. Cool.
They're infantry in all regards.
Really?
Yeah. Literally, the rules say that they are infantry in every respect except for attacks against them or against their front armor, and they can gain more attacks for additional close combat weapons past the 2.
That's why I'm glad you know all the rules.
I do read the rule book. Every time I make it, like I made a mistake with walkers in my last game, so I read the rules. And
That's
now
good.
I don't do that anymore. That is a good idea. How scary is that? They come to me for rules questions. And you guys see how bad I am. Then again, you all just say I'm cheating, so depends on how you want to look at it. I usually say that I'm just making a mistake, because I am. I just mess up a lot. And I forget rules, because I play like 8 of these games, but it happens. And anyway, as I was saying, yeah, super competitiveness. We are not that competitive in this, I would even say in the region. I mean, there are a few players that are very, like they really try to win, but a lot of, Warmachine is relatively new here, I would like to say. Even the people who have been playing for the longest have only been playing for like 2 or 3 years that I know of. I'm entirely possible I'm wrong or mistaken, but from what I understand, everyone's relatively new, which is to say they don't go to all the tournament scenes and the very like high class, like, oh man, this is the game we're going to win and let's go to the tournaments and Adepticon and stuff like that. Not to say that none of them would want to. I mean, geez, I would like to go. I don't think I'd win, but I think I would do not half bad. The other problem with the battle reports is, as you see here, as I've been sitting here painting my army, a lot of the models have been, I haven't finished painting them. And the way our Batreps work is you can only use painted models. So once again, going back to that forum as my example, there's a specific comment where a guy was very upset that I brought Epic Fiora and the Colossal without bringing a choir. Now the reason for that is I needed X amount of points. I don't have that much painted, and so I brought my painted character, my painted Colossal, but my choir's not painted, so I can't bring the choir. So I gotta play without. And yeah, that's what happens. Other than that, it's just a fun game. I make mistakes like running my caster up and getting killed sometimes, or other things like that, but they are more for entertainment, less for this is how you want to learn, because we don't have that big of a competitive scene here. From what I understand, there are videos that you can watch of guys going to the bigger tournaments. A lot of them, or at least I've heard this. Unfortunately, I haven't watched them, and I can't even tell you what the names are, but one of the people who you have seen come up in the battle reports, Joel, he's very much into this, and he is very good with his Legion army. But once again, his army isn't painted, so you've only gotten to see him really play the Crix and Cato that we have here, which he's not that familiar with. So he tends to make mistakes, and we forget rules because he's not aware of them, because that's not the army he plays. Why doesn't he play the army that he plays? Because it's not painted yet, and unfortunately he just doesn't have the time. He's a busy guy, he works, all that kind of stuff. And so you're getting kind of doubly hampered here, where you don't have a very competitive group, and the things that they really like to use in their competitive games are not actually painted. And so you don't see the best that they have to offer, myself included. Like right now, I finally am painting Thyra so that I can start using her in battles, just because I want to use someone other than Ikrios, Harbinger, Fiora. Harbinger, Fiora. Harby. Now we do make mistakes. I messed up how impact works. Impact hits work. You only get 1 impact hit per charge, like per model in a charge. And so in a recent game I played against Justin, one of my cavalry guys, actually I did the impact charge twice, where he ran in, he hit a unit, and then moved through and hit them again. And then I said at the end of it, as though that was correct, to like, oh, you could just roll through a unit, impact, but you can't actually do that, you only get it once. That being said, I still stick by it, they are very good. The cavalry, that is. And expect to see them again, and I will use them better. I'm actually in the process, I'm going to be making little capes for all of them to really brighten them up. Similar to Gravis's cape, where it's going to be hanging off his back, and they'll be riding up like that. Yeah, so let's get these guys painted up here nice and quick. But yeah, basically what I'm trying to say here is, if you're really looking for competitive edge, I would recommend either go to those professional recordings that they have, like the guys who are very high up and love to play in the very big leagues, because they're going to have better tips and they're going to show you better tactics than I'm going to. One, because once again I'm not playing very professional players, not to knock any of them, and even myself, I'm not very professional either. I'm not the be-all end-all of Warmachine, but you'll get better advice from guys like that. than you will from myself. And that's all I really have to say about that. Frankly, if you want, like, I can give you advice. I've seen how it goes, and I play a lot of tournaments in the region, but I'm still not a very serious player. Like, I don't really care about winning or losing, even at the tournaments that I go to. And so I do stuff, like I said, oh, if you wanna mulligan that, don't worry about it. Or, ooh, I meant to move that guy first. Can I do this ability and move afterwards? Like, yeah. Like, for example, the song guy for the trolls, Fellcaller, I think he's called. Basically, he can give the unit a better tough roll, I think. Or he makes it so whenever I kill one, I get knocked down. But he moves up his infantry first, and they attack. And then he remembers, oh no, now they're too far away, and I can't do my song on them. I'm the kind of person who's like, don't worry about it, man. You did their song. Like, yeah, that was obviously what you're going to do. Don't worry about it. Sing your song. That's the way your army should be played, and I agree that that's what you would have done. You made a slight mistake. No big deal. And there are, of course, people who play the other way, where they're like, this is a tournament, and I want to win, so if you mess up, you might as well just call it right now. And, I mean, I totally understand where that's coming from. It's just that's not really the way I like to play. I'd rather play, have fun, have a bit of a silly game. Yeah, we make a few rules mistakes, but we tend to fix those because we do mess up, but then we remember, we read the comments, and they always help us out, make sure that we won't make those same mistakes again. But, yeah, those are my thoughts on more of a competitive sense. So, all in all, it's true, my battle reports will not give you the best tactics, and they will not show you what units you should use and should not use, and what's the ultimate be-all, end-all game-smashing combos. Because, for one, I don't really know them. All I do is I play with what I like. And two, even if I did, I probably still would not use them because the people I play with are not that ultra-competitive. And hopefully that kind of clarifies things for you out there, wargamers. At least my opinion thereof. Red capes. Yeah, I really wish I knew offhand a nice place to go, because I would totally redirect you. That being said, I am thinking of really starting to upload more videos to my YouTube channel. Chris and I are going to start making videos in our spare time, which could end up being far more competitive than the ones you normally see on MiniWarGaming. Could, I say. In all honesty, I may not even do it. It's kind of my opinion, and whether or not I have time. But just to get a better idea for what it's like playing in a tournament scene where you really want to win, and I know that there's a little audience for that, but once again, the issue is that a lot of the people who may want to do that are not necessarily going to have painted armies, and that is a requirement. So the locals that I know around here who are very good but don't like to paint, or don't have time to paint, then maybe we'll do something like that. But all in all, the gist of it, I don't really care about the ultra be-all end-all. Moving on. Paint. I only have effectively 5 more days to paint the jacks. And those two, and those two. So, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I think I might lose some sleep in the next few days. But I said I would, and I'm gonna. Not to mention it'll definitely help out getting more of a competitive game if I actually have, like, say the choir, maybe bring the choir with my Menoth army, seeing as they're the staple. Maybe bring the Covenant, maybe get some errants. Because I do know that the Errants Rupert book combo is like incredibly annoying and very, very useful with the take up and the knockdown protection and tough and all the other special rules that they'll get all together. Hunter with the UA, and yeah, they are very good. And I've even played against it. There's a fella who goes to the Black Knight tournaments I've been to a few times, and I apologize if you're watching this, but I believe your name is Chris. You have a very nice painted teal colored Menoth army. He's given me a lot of advice on what he does. Not only that, he totally crushed me at one of the tournaments there with Harbinger against Krios. But that was a brutal matchup. It was 50 points, and I brought like 170 boxes of infantry, like just basically full incinerators, full bastions, bunch of knights, and my army was with Krios, and we just rolled up, and he brought Harbinger, but he brought like the Errants and the Redeemer and Reckoner with a bunch of vassals and the book, and Rupert, of course. And he was able to stall me out. Now, in the end, we ended up basically killing each other, but it was a 2v2 game. We were playing random doubles, and my teammate unfortunately got beat by the Scorn guys, so we lost, and they had 7 seconds left on their death clock. It was really close as far as time was concerned, but not model count. We might have won, but not quite. All in all, what I'm trying to say is I have seen it in action, and it is a very annoying, oh yeah, well, after that model attacked, I'm going to kill the guy over there, so that model can't attack, and my model in your engage range is still alive. And stuff like that. Like, I'm trying to think of if I can really display this. Here's the guy my unit charges, and here's another one of those exemplars. Actually, you know what? Let's use these guys as the exemplars. So say this guy with the red cape in the base, he charges in, he kills this guy, but Errants have take-up, so instead this guy dies. And now my other model that had charged him now has no reach on anybody. I might be doing that wrong. I don't have Errants, so correct me if I'm mistaken, but I believe that's how that works. And I can totally see where that'd be very annoying. I do have a lot of fun at the tournaments that we have around here. Once again, it is a nice mashup because you get to see a lot of armies that I don't normally get to play against. Like Scorn, for example, is an army that you rarely see in the battle reports we do because unfortunately there's just not a lot of Scorn players around. And a lot of Circle I've noticed recently. Like everybody plays Circle. We went to the tournament, there's a big one up in Black Knight not too long ago, and out of like the 30 some odd people that were there, like 10 of them were Circle. It was crazy. So, interesting stuff, but all in all, I'm, like I said, not that competitive. I do like to win, and I'll usually try at winning, but I'm not to the point where I'm going to make it not fun for my opponent. Like I'd rather concede something, like they made a mistake and let them fix it, and then lose, than stop them from being able to do that and win. Like, because it just kind of ruins it for everyone if they sit there and go, oh, I should have done this, and I know I could have done it, and it was one, and then they end up losing because of that. Because that's silly. I'd rather it be like, I can't believe I didn't roll blank. Like, missing a dice roll, everybody misses dice rolls, so I find that's far more fun, far better for the person that you're playing with. Now they may not end up being the best video because you can see like they made a mistake there and then they just kind of skimmed over it, but it does make it more interesting, or at least more fun for the person I'm playing against. Another good example, Mike and I, the guy who's playing Necrons right now, if you're not following along with names, we forgot that he has a Jinx save on his command barge at one point. And I think it was like an entire turn later, remembered that, oh yeah, he has Jink. And so I'm like, do your Jinx save. He made 2 of them, so we took off the hull points that he had lost, and he was back fine and ready to go. And that's what I mean when I say, don't worry about it, it's not a big deal. I'd rather it was a fun game. Gehenna Gold, that's the one. Got it now.
Just putting weapons back into the armory.
Yeah. Oh, this is our new shelf space for cameras.
The armory.
Yep. Would not trust those doors to keep anyone out, though. Not anyone determined anyway.
Not anything perfect.
There we go. And once I have these guys painted, I can actually start bringing my tier list, which is one of my favorite tournament armies. My Epic Krios Tier 4 with the Fire of Salvation, 2 groups of Knight Exemplars, 2 Exemplar Seneschals, 2 units of Bastions, Avengers, and sometimes an Errant Seneschal if I have the extra points. Can't recall offhand how much that is. I think it's around 50. But I might be min Bastions in one group. I think it's full though. Don't recall. But that's a really fun list. But at the same time, it's not that exciting to see in a game because I tend to just walk up, smash my enemy, and then thanks for coming out. Or I don't. Which leads to a less entertaining game, and so you don't really see that in battle. Not to mention they're just not painted. Once again, we fall back on the whole can't play it if it's not painted. There we go. Nice bronze shoulder plates. Bronze up their little skirts here. Maybe Chris and I will play some Warmachine. He has a mercenaries army that's not painted. For a professional painter, he has very little of his own army actually painted. In both armies. Which is kind of amusing. But anyway. I guess you could argue that once you paint all day, painting like other stuff, you really don't have any interest in painting your own stuff. Sort of like if you do it for work, it becomes less fun. Which I could understand. I know how he feels about that kind of stuff. Go. Leave a comment below though, let me know. Would you rather see games that are ultra competitive, that you see the best units brought out, even if the opponent doesn't necessarily have that, like if they barely know how to play, would you rather see me bring a tournament level list trying to just absolutely destroy, or would you rather see lists like the jacks without the choir? It's true, it's terrible and it's hard to watch because it's not what you want and not what you should see it bring, and then if it fails you can obviously say, well, oh, it's because you didn't bring the choir. Or, yeah, would you rather see the choir come out and just smash because of it? Because once again, I'm going to have my whole army painted, so that'll most definitely be an option. So let me know. Leave a comment what you'd rather see, and I will accommodate. If you get enough thumbs up saying we'd rather see you come out with the best of the best because we want to see what's really good in Menoth, and that's unfortunate for the guy who has to go against it if they don't know how to play, then well, we'll do it. But personally, I'd rather continue on the way it's been. But it's up to you guys. You're the guys who watch the videos. I want to make what you want to watch. So let me know. And yeah, apparently I had the wrong connector to the airbrush. I gotta go switch it out. Which means I have to go raid Chris's office. Which I will do in a little while. Actually, what time is it? Let's check in here. Not time for Dave's show. Still have time to sit here and chat with you guys. I have a relatively simple Menoth paint scheme. Just a lot of dry brushing is involved with a little bit of actual painting on the shoulder pads and stuff like that. But I find the more of them that get painted, like when you bring them out together and they all look the same, even if it isn't that detailed, it actually looks pretty good. One of those, like, if enough of them look okay, then they all look great. Like when you see somebody who's painted an entire orc army, and it just looks really nice. Even though if you look at the individual orcs, they're like barely discernible faces and stuff like that. It doesn't really matter that much. Interesting little effect. And I've been trying to talk Chris into doing a how to paint human faces tutorial, which you should totally spam the next video that you see after this of his. his quick tips on how to make faces. I'm pretty sure it's on his list already, but make it come up sooner. Because he'll listen to you guys. He won't listen to me. And I need to know how to paint faces. Because I tried painting Thyra's face, and I failed so bad, I think I'm going to cover it with green stuff and make it look like she's wearing a mask. That's how badly I did at painting her face. So, you should help me out here, guys, and do it. Do it. There we are. World War Z comes out today for all of you who are into the movies. And I'm kind of disappointed / excited. I want to see it anyway. Like, I know it's just another zombie movie, but I like zombie movies, even if it is overused a little bit. But I read the book, World War Z, and I liked the book a lot. It wasn't like the best of the best, oh man, this is my favorite book series of all time, or book of all time. But I certainly enjoyed it, and it was very interesting to read, because it was a far more, like, global perspective. Like, usually when you see a zombie movie, it's like the neighborhood, and there's no real explanations given and no reactions. Like, you don't see how the world would have actually, like, responded if something like that were to happen. And the World War Z book kind of goes into that. Like, it's very superficial, and there's not a lot, like, not a heavy detailing into, like, how everything would function, but it's more than you ever get anywhere else, which is why I made it, like, I thought it was very interesting. And then now I see the movie, and first off, they have Brad Pitt playing the main character, which I found weird. And I also liked how, now this is just rumors, I haven't actually seen it yet, so if I spoil something, I'm guessing. I don't actually know this. But it looks like they've changed where the zombies come from to Russia, as opposed to China, which I found pretty funny. Because it was a very neat intro story and how they did it in China. And unfortunately, you're not going to get that story now. Assuming they even do it in any kind of flashback manner, which is how the book was written, I expect it'll probably be all, oh no, there's zombies in the streets. And how he responds to that, and he's going to be amazing, and they're all going to save the day, I'm sure. But who knows? I'm excited to see it. I'd probably like to see it tonight. Yeah, see if anybody's interested in going to see that movie. Last week I saw the new Superman movie, Man of Steel, I believe it is. Hopefully no one can hear me, because I'm going to spoil a lot of that movie right now. Can you hear me, Dave? No, I don't think he can. So we'll be okay. So spoiler alert for you guys too, wargamers. But personally, I did not care for the fight between Superman and Zod. The final showdown there, it just seemed kind of like cartoony and silly. You couldn't tell who was winning most of the time. Like, how many times can Superman take like a punch in the face that like crushes him into the ground, and then just like, haha, I'm fine, I'm Superman, and then do the same thing to Zod, but then Zod just bounces back and does the same thing, and it looked like the entire fight Zod was winning because he was really beating up Superman, but then all of a sudden he's got him in like, haha, I've got you in a half Nelson or a headlock, then that means I've obviously won this fight. Oh, and that's another thing. At the end there, when Zod's got his little laser beam eyes and he's going after that family and Superman's trying to stop him. Oh, once again, I'm going to say it again. Spoiler alert. Here it comes. When he's trying to stop him and then he finally just breaks his neck. Superman doesn't kill anybody. Like, I was never big in the comic section, but I was under the impression that was Superman's big thing, that he always does the right thing, like he never kills anybody. How are they going to make Lex Luthor an enemy if when someone threatens a person directly, Superman will just kill them? Like, General Zod, at least he was like a superhuman, or like a super alien, Kryptonian, whatever they are. And Lex Luthor is just a guy. So let's say there's Lex Luthor sitting in a room and he's got a little, like a handgun or something, and he's threatening somebody, or he's got a plot where he's gonna, I don't know, say, make a giant new landmass that's gonna destroy half of the United States. Why won't Superman just like jump into the room and kill him? Because we've already established that if you're going to threaten people, that Superman will just kill you. And I don't think anything Lex Luthor could set up would actually protect him from Superman wanting him dead. Like, oh, he's in an underground bunker, laser beam eyes. Oh, he's flying through the air, laser beam eyes. Oh, he's in an armored suit, laser beam eyes. Like that, it's kind of a good answer for everything. But I don't know. I found it kind of silly. Chris, you saw the new Superman movie, right?
Yeah, I just watched it last night.
All right. We're kind of having a spoiler fest here. What did you think of the fight between Superman and Zod?
Like the very end?
Yeah.
It was cool. You know.
That was basically how I felt. It looked cool, but I had no idea what was going on. And I had no idea who was winning.
Yeah, well, because it's so fast paced and frantic, right? And it's kind of hard to see what's going on.
Yeah. I
And
honestly thought Zod was winning.
And I imagine, you know, in 3D, I imagine you might be able to see it a little bit better. I don't know.
Yeah,
I watched it in
I
just regular
didn't-
2D, and
So did I. I don't care for 3D that much.
I like 3D, but you know. But as far as the movie goes, I thought it was great.
Yeah, and the only other thing that I had a problem with at the end there, when Zod's got like the laser beam eyes and he's like going for the kids and Superman breaks his neck, I'm like, how are they going to have Superman have like Lex Luthor as a villain? Because we've now established that Superman's willing to kill people to save people. So when Lex Luthor's like, haha, I have this plan to blow up Metropolis, why doesn't Superman just like, boom, in his house, break his neck, problem solved?
Maybe they'll do it just like they did with the Batman series, right? Because it's Christopher Nolan in charge. Well, not in charge, but you know.
Batman didn't kill anybody.
No, but like in the first one, Ra's al Ghul, he just leaves them to die. You know, all the little ninja dudes that were attacking him, well, I don't think they're alive anymore.
That's fair.
You know, Joker, well, you assume Joker's put in the penitentiary and, you know, he's, you know, busting rocks and,
It's still not the same as like,
you know,
leaving somebody, I guess, is pretty bad, but
he kind of pushed Harvey to his death.
Batman does that a lot.
You know, I mean, he almost kills people, right?
Spoiler alerts for all those people who haven't seen the Batman movies, but that's what happens. You had your chance. If it's a like 8-year-old movie,
Yeah.
we don't have to give out spoiler alerts.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, then, you know, you've been living under a rock.
It's like, what do you mean there's dinosaurs in Jurassic Park? Yeah.
This movie's about dinosaurs?
Alright, he makes a good point. I don't know. It seems to me that they just kind of, they're kind of stuck now. Unless they go really, haha, kryptonite stops you dead in your tracks. I did like the first half of the movie though, when you see him just in all these like odd jobs, and he just kind of shows up in places. Like the best part I found was when they first introduce Lois Lane and they're in the Antarctic or the Arctic or wherever they were cold, and she goes to get off the helicopter, and he's just like the baggage boy, and she doesn't even like address him. It's not one of those moments where they like double check and double look at him and like the camera stares at him so you can recognize that it's him. It's just like quiet and like he's just in the background carrying the bags the whole time. And I found that just hilarious. I'm like, oh, that's a perfect idea. A way to kind of insinuate him in there. Or when he's in the diner and the guys are hitting on the one waitress or like attacking the waitress or whatever they were doing there. And the guy goes to push him and he just doesn't move. I don't know how you'd explain how that happened to that truck, but I found it quite funny. Anyway, that's my thoughts on current movies. What else do we want to talk about? Xbox. I'm sure a couple of you guys out there are video game fellas. You like gaming. I'm not big on the consoles anymore. The only computer games I really play nowadays are like PlanetSide 2 and League of Legends. And some Dawn of War. I play that pretty consistently. That's just so that when I show up on my show, I don't get my butt kicked every week. Because I do want to at least make it a challenge for somebody. But, yeah, the always-on DRM, they finally realized that is a terrible idea and the entire market is just going to leave them. So you no longer have to be you no longer have to check in every 24 hours, and you can share games, and you can use games and stuff like that, which I found pretty fun. But what makes it really funny to me is, for a while, like SimCity, they were talking about how they had to be always online because they couldn't do it not always online. But by being able to say, all right, you know what, we'll just not do it that way, implies that it could have been done the whole time that way, and they just chose to make it the harder, always online, more work for the customer. Let's pass off the inability for us to stop pirates by making it harder for you to the customer. Like, I'm a big fan of if you buy something, it is yours. Like, whenever you hear these things about a guy who, like, jailbroke his iPhone and he has to, like, go to court or modifies a PlayStation or something like that, and they try and sue him. I mean, it's your property. You bought it. That wouldn't happen in any other, like, anything else that wouldn't come up. Like, imagine if you bought a computer and you took your computer apart and put in all new pieces, and now your computer functions better or worse or different or whatever. Do you think, like, Microsoft's going to come after you and be like, how dare you? You had some gall to try and change the software on our computer. We're suing you. You're going to jail for this. This is, I don't care how much you paid for it, and I don't care whether it's yours or not. It's still ours until we say so, which we will never say. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the always on, or will Microsoft, having changed their mind, would that change your mind? Like, would you be willing to buy an Xbox? Now, let's say money's no issue, aside from the fact that it is $100 more expensive and it's always watching you. Aside from those two things, just the DRM state, would that be enough to change your mind and make it so that you'd be willing to buy their system? Like, or was that even an issue? Did you even care? Like, so what if you had to check in every 24 hours? That's no big deal. I don't understand why it is a big deal. Like, is that where you stood, or I don't know. Leave a comment below. Let me know, and because I'm curious. Other than that, what's really going on this last little while? Politics and stuff, but we're not going to talk about that right now. There's enough shows on the interwebs that talk about the political scene. Any games coming out that I want to get? There's that 40k MMO that was announced, but I don't think it's going to come out for another like year or two. And no, it's not Dark Millennium. That one's gone, but there's a new one now coming, and I don't remember what it's called. It came up on my live show last night, and we got a link for it, but unfortunately I don't know where it is now. So, just so you're aware, that is an option rather. Something I'm interested in. Really, I want to find out where this fantasy, large-scale Total War-esque game is, because I keep hearing about it. People keep referencing it and talking about it, but I've never seen anything about it. And I've never seen any videos or comments or notations or anything. Like, my ear, of course, is not to the ground when it comes to video games, because like I said, I'm not like a big video game player anymore, but you should have heard something like Kotaku or The Escapist. Those guys are usually pretty on the ball. But yeah, so if you happen to know, if you know anything about this this Total War styled Warhammer Fantasy game, leave it a link in the description, or a link in the link below, so that I can find it, because I would very much like to see it. And I was looking at a few of the comments on my introduction video, and my other video for that matter, talking about just starting off and what they should get and stuff like that. I don't know if I went over this enough in the previous video, but I would definitely recommend the 2-player starter kit. Find a friend, split it, pick whether you want to play Hordes or Warmachine, which honestly are basically the same. The only difference is a little the mechanic, whether you give out or take in. Personally, I find that Hordes casters are better earlier in the game, in that they can really dish out more punishment. But if it comes to the later game, the casters, or the Warmachine casters, are better because they have focus camping, which is nothing, like warlocks can't compete. They can pass off the damage, so one of their critters gets hurt instead, but they can't, like, it's not uncommon, not even difficult for most Warmachine casters to get over armor 20 by sitting on focus. After even casting a few spells, for example. Like, Fiora casts Escort, and standing next to her Jack while upkeeping it, she's armor 24. And that's just standing there, being able to get the bonus armor from Escort and her focus. Whereas, like, oh no, I don't know any Legion or Hordes casters very well. The guy I played yesterday, the Pharaoh character, nuts, I can't remember. Actually, it was a few days ago. But there's the Pharaoh caster who casts Batten Down the Hatches, and he goes to like 13-20. So his defense goes down, and he gets the plus armor, but that's like the only way he could do it. And I'm sure there are tough Hordes casters. Like I know P. Thagrosh with his minus strength aura is really annoying, and that he gets, it's not necessarily higher armor, but it makes me weaker, which is, in effect, it's basically the same thing. Plus armor or minus strength, doesn't matter. Or plus defense and minus to hit, they mean effectively the same. But there, of course, are counters, like they ignore concealment or cover, and that'll negate that, but other things it won't negate. So they're different, but as far as the dice roll is concerned, it is the same effect. You either have to roll higher or lower to do something. Where was I going with this? Oh, yeah, buying stuff. Buying Warmachine or Hordes. I don't know. They're both cool. I like all the factions for the most part. The only faction I'm kind of... I would never really want to play is Trolls. I find they're just silly, and I don't really like what they look like. They look kind of dumb, but... That's my opinion. I am a fan of aesthetics when it comes to models. Big reason why I started playing Tau is just because they're cool looking. They've got that whole samurai theme to them, and I found that really interesting. Go. A couple people left comments saying, how long do I paint, or how often do I get to paint? Seeing as I've kind of might have got myself with how much I've said I'm going to paint and how much time I have. Honestly, I have not been painting nearly enough. I've painted maybe 3 hours since I announced that I'm going to do this, and I've gotten quite a bit done in those 3 hours, but on a whole, I have not been doing this. I've been watching Game of Thrones while painting for the most part, got caught up. Kind of bummed out that the season's over, and I found the end of the season kind of disappointing. Spoiler alert. Man, I gotta keep on those. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Everything I say, I'm gonna spoil stuff, and it's gonna be random stuff, so just keep an ear out. Yeah, I'm a fan of Game of Thrones. I like Littlefinger. He is cool. He is interesting. He's one of those characters like Tywin they know what they're doing. They're not the nicest guys, but they've got a plan, they have a goal, and they're actually achieving it. They're not like Robb or Arya or the Starks. Like basically the people who are good in the show are just like being whisked around, or Tyrion for that matter. They don't really have any control of what they're doing, and they do good wherever they end up, but they don't really achieve anything. Like they're never the good guys. They're never in charge. They're never the one making the decision. They're always just being swept along based on what others are doing. Whereas guys like Tywin and Littlefinger always are. They're either in control, or they're steering events, or they come out on top if they get knocked down a little bit, and they're not dependent on anybody. They're not like... The best example I can think of is Tywin, and when he speaks to like Cersei and Tyrion, and he just tells them this is the case. Or when he talks to the Tyrell woman, I can't remember her name, the matron there. And he's like, you're gonna have your son there marry Cersei. Or, yeah, Cersei. And she's like, no, I don't think I will. And he goes, yeah, you will. No, I won't. And then they have that awesome conversation, and she folds, and I love that whole scene. It was almost as good as when Arya and him were talking. Actually, it was even better, in my opinion. Now that I think about that, I hadn't made that comparison in my mind until right now, and frankly, I like it more. Because Arya was a servant. This lady was effectively an equal from the Martells, but the Martells are nobodies. Bunch of upstarts. I'm gonna have to get a drink soon. Been talking non-stop for a while now. How long has this been going? Quite some time. Well, let's finish up this guy and then we'll call it for today. Maybe get some more painting done later on this evening. Now my event that I was going to has been cancelled. So I actually have some time to get some painting done. Paint. What did I achieve? I found the gold that I use, and I've started the first steps towards painting my second unit of exemplars. Got them primed, got the gold on them, I got the first red, still have 2 more reds to go, but the last layers takes like 5 seconds. Other than that, basically the end. What's up, Dave?
The mic.
Ah.
It's in the same cabinet, isn't it?
Most likely. There we go. Not in there?
No, it isn't there, but
Oh wait, are you looking for like the lapel mics? No. Oh,
for
okay.
the other one.
I know there's one for sure in the studio.
Okay.
Anyway, MiniWarGamers, we're gonna call it there for today. Look at that, progress. You can't even see what I'm talking about, but these guys, Goldie, these were those unprimed, we were missing arms guys. I finally got their arms, and now they're going. So, see you later, MiniWarGamers. There's only like 40 seconds of battery left, and I'm gonna call it that. Happy wargaming.